So I've just started our YouTube stream. We're live on YouTube, but we're not live on Twitch yet. I'm not going to start the show proper until I call Craig in. And I'm not going to call Craig in until we get live on Twitch, but we can pre-stream for 5 or 10 minutes here. So.
I think I still have the Twitch key in my OBS.
You can do Twitch?
Okay, Faye Coos says she's coming, so that's good.
Okay, because I totally failed at the timing. I'm so sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, someone else. It looks like it's okay.
Okay. Hi, Nick. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Faye. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Or good to hear you. I'll see you eventually.
If I brush my hair, I'm willing to do it. But I just got out of the shower thinking I had 45 minutes.
Put a hat on.
Nope. So I'm not.
Put on that yanggang hat.
Oh, I do have one of those.
Math covers it all. Math covers all.
Just math it up. Yeah. Just math over.
Math it up.
It covers your data, it covers your logic, your facts. It just covers
exactly. We need more math in this world. There you go.
For sure. Yeah.
And in this country.
For sure. That's funny. When we had a Michon, they always said in Eastern movies, the main character, they're always intelligent in school and have all their grades, but the heroes in all the American movies are bad, dumb. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
When you think about dads, right? How dads are portrayed in sitcoms and in animated shows, they don't know what they're doing.
Right. Homer Simpson, right? Stan Smith, they're all
Peter Griffin.
Oh God, yeah. Remember that time I found how to sit? YouTube's name is the real life Peter Griffin. He was
I guess the origin of that is the honeymooners, right? The origin of the buffoonish nuclear family father in a sitcom. I mean, I can't think of an example that predates it. Can you?
Can I pause you guys for just a second?
Yeah.
Can I pause you?
Yeah,
sorry.
Sure.
So we have YouTube up, but we don't have Twitch yet, and we don't have Craig yet, right?
Yeah.
I have Twitch's Steam key still, unless.
Why don't you stream for us? That's perfect, Sheridan. Please.
All right.
There's no need to wait for. Make sure you adjust the stream settings, change the category, and change the title to YGRT episode 135. Nick Rivera.
Oh, I don't think I have access to the Twitch account.
I will fix it for you then. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, so Jimmy Kimmel said Trump in a bunker somewhere in between Hitler and Archie.
What?
Get it? You know Archie Bunker?
Yeah.
From All of the Family?
Yeah.
So he meant Hitler and Archie because of Archie's marriage. Because Archie's always look, I'm meathead. One of these liberals, Yeah. It's a well-known detergent to crime.
Jeez.
Detergent to crime.
Wash it clean, huh? Yeah.
Deterrent.
All right. I'm actually trying to put my screen on horizontal here. All right, that looks better for me. As long as everybody can see me, we're good. I was wondering if I could do that.
So Nick, was that you were at Drexel University in Iowa, or was that just you're passing by? Or you live in Iowa?
Oh, that was Drake University. I was there for Yang Week.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think you might have connected right before I fixed the stream information. If you could just disconnect and reconnect, I'm sorry. Oh, hey, we have someone in the chat of Jewel Media. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yes.
You worked with Tully, or Arturo, I think his actual name was. She was driving around with
yes,
shaving with yeah, cool. Now
got it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So now he created.
I got to ride in the car with him. I got to canvas with him too.
Nice.
I got to canvas with Tully. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's so sad that like when the campaign ends, like all this fun stuff just like goes away because it's not like toward getting someone elected anymore. But it's like, why can't we just have it just for the sake of like
Now recording.
raising awareness?
Welcome to the Yanggang Roundtable. It's
Yeah.
Friday, November 20th, 2020. I'm sorry for cutting you guys off again, but I just formally started the show. We've got Nick Rivera here, already wrapped in conversation with our regular Ariel, so I will just let you guys continue what you're talking about. We're a basic income advocacy podcast, obviously, but you know that, so please, as you were.
Dale, did you start the Twitch stream?
I've
did
started
you-
I've started the YouTube stream, and Sheridan has the Twitch stream going, so
Oh, okay. Everything's good. Then
Yeah.
I'll leave you guys to it.
thank you.
So Nick, where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut,
Oh,
West Haven, Connecticut. So that's southern Connecticut. Yeah.
Oh.
Born and
Oh.
raised.
Oh, cool. I've the only place I've been to on the East Coast is New York. That was a long time ago though, and I'd want to say Chicago, but that's not really like, yeah. it's not too. Oh yeah, Boston, yeah. That one.
Boston. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Those
yeah.
are the big cities, right? Like Connecticut's like the highway between them.
True. And when did you first hear about Yang and what he was doing in the whole campaign?
Well, it was late February, early March of 2019. I watched the Breakfast Club interview first with my sister. I came across Andrew Yang through, I think it was an ad. It was either on Facebook or Instagram. And I was like, let me find out about this guy, because I was like, who am I going to support in the coming election? I know candidates are throwing their hats in the ring. What's going on here? And then, you know, I loved how he talked about mental health and talked about the economy, put it all together. He just spoke in complete sentences. He made sense. He knew what he was talking about. And then I watched the Joe Rogan Experience, and that sealed the deal for me. I was like, I got to get my gear. I know who my guy is, who I'm supporting, and I'm going to go to a rally in New York City. And I went to the Humanity First rally in Washington Square Park on May 14th. And Jing Jewel of Jewel Media, she interviewed me after that rally, but we were formally introduced months later.
I just want to like put and I think I'm gonna clip this part out when I do my clipping, that you actually said that Yang spoke in complete sentences. That the bar for the president of the United States has been set so low.
Barely.
Oh yeah,
Barely.
I muted myself on YouTube, but he said, yeah, that, as opposed to the current president who speaks in a series of lists. You know, it's like very good, very nice item, very good.
Oh,
He
how
checks
low the
boxes
bar
when he
is,
speaks.
right?
Yeah, and you know, Biden speaks in things that approach sentences, but don't always get there. So it's like a nominal improvement. You know,
You know the thing, you guys. You know the thing.
They don't always land. You know what I mean?
that's
It's
what I'm
like-
talking about, Jack.
Hey. So we either have just like a narcissist lunatic or a gaff machine as our two choices. And
Well, I mean, the narcissist was also a gaff machine. So
yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
That's true. Do we
For
want
sure.
our gaffs in like narcissism, or do we want them in like neoliberalism 2.0?
oh, neoliberalism. That's what we voted for. We want that. So we decided that's the one.
Yeah. But here's the good, and Shill is very, very salty on like the Biden stuff, and I'm no big fan of it myself. I think, but I try to see the silver lining in this cloud, because Yang,
Sure.
Biden talked to and approached Yang many times, and Yang talks about it. So I think there is some kind of pressure that we can put on this thing if we do it in the right places, that like we can get something going.
I agree.
Yeah. Elaborate on that, Nick.
I think that needs to happen. I think that needs to happen. You know what I mean? I think it goes beyond hashtags. You know, there's got to be a full on strategy like, hey, let's get Yang a seat and let's make sure that this is something that's meaningful so we can solve the problems that led to Donald Trump in the first place. That's what he cares
Right.
about. I
And-
love the fact that, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Like just to let everybody know, like actually in 2015, I thought Trump was a good idea because I just thought, just back then, I'm not saying, but the thing is that like I was one of those people that says like, yeah, the establishment sucks, and like Trump is like he can change things up because he knows about money, he knows about business, and then there were a lot of former people who were in the Trump camp and even in the Bernie camp who switched to Yang. And then that's what I saw. So that 72 million people who voted for Trump that we just saw happen, we can take a big bite out of that as the Yang Gang.
Absolutely.
Also-
And I think that needs to be done for sure. You know, we have to speak to those issues, those problems, and emphasize the fact that they're still not getting solved and they're only accelerating. They're only getting worse. So in order to basically try to put a cap on it, try to mitigate what's already happened, the Yang Gang definitely has to, mobilize and be able to talk to quote unquote the other side. Remember that they are Americans too. They do have legitimate grievances. I can understand the whole anti-establishment appeal. Even going back thinking about 2015, I loved seeing, Trump bring Jeb Bush down a peg or two. I was like, wow, and I was like, all right, this is kind of entertaining, but what changed that for me was when he had mocked the reporter. He was, mimicking his movements. And I was like, yeah. That changed it for me. I was like, no, this isn't fun anymore. And he's serious. We better take this seriously.
Well, you see,
and do what we
Trump,
can.
This is the thing. Trump never stopped campaigning, ever.
No.
Like
No.
it's like you're president now. You're still campaigning.
Yeah.
Do the work. It's like having a
Yes.
job. It's like having it's like having someone who's perpetually being interviewed, but he's never doing the job. Right.
Right. You
But
just
I
let the
saw-
campaign. The
It's
campaign.
He's
like,
doing
look,
the most
look.
profitable part of the job to the exclusion of every other part. He's doing the part that
Right.
gets him the glory and the money. So
Right.
that's an indication
Yes,
that the
yes.
system is bad. He can do the worst thing and succeed at, keeping the job for a while, getting the job in the first place, and being so popular he almost got it a second time. So the system's
Exactly.
very bad and we must change it immediately, but we're not doing that.
Because
And there's
I saw
no road to doing it. We're just still sort of
Oh,
sitting here
guys,
waiting to be
pause for a
more.
second.
Yeah.
Pause. Can we pause for just a second?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
go-
You say there is no road. Literally, all my research is to find that road.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
right.
we're trying. It's just some people. I'm just so still upset at the people who are taking a victory lap. I'm just still so upset. I can't go on Twitter still because people are like, "Biden's here, it's done," and I can't stand it.
Dale, it's gonna peter out.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah. Go on.
peters out.
Well, it's going to peter out faster than you think.
And when
Shep,
it
because
peters
Nancy
out,
got
that's when-
reelected.
Go ahead, you guys.
I was just saying
And-
that it's going to happen faster because Nancy got reelected.
I mean,
Not encouraged by that at all.
Dude,
Like, no.
guys, give it until April. Like, give it until April. People are gonna see it's the same, BS bullshit on repeat, and they're gonna say like, okay, now we're bored, and now it's back to all the stuff that we hated before we even had Trump, and that's when we can make our mark, as a Yang Gang. That's what I'm seeing, because this is going to peter
So
out.
wait, what month are you saying this would happen?
If I don't know, but after he gets sworn in after the 20th of January, and if things are still like no stimulus, no help, all these businesses are under, people still can't pay their bills. what the hell is there to be excited about? Right now, it's kind of like, if any of you went to the dentist and like, that they put the Novocaine in, I mean, you leave and it's still kind of numb. But once that kind of like numbness wears off, then you can still feel things. And I think that's what happened. It's like this Biden victory. It's like people are just like in that because they're like, oh, but then it's going to wear off. And then people are going to feel the pain. It's like, okay, Biden's elected. I can't pay for my bills. My job is gone. I don't know what my children's future is going to be. Trump still may not be here, but what's happening to like...
Okay, you want to hear something though? This is the biggest fucking opportunity the Yang has ever seen, right? This is a chance to prove that we can band together, fuck you and your money, and we can make shit change, right? Because we have all these people with all these skill sets that have nothing to do but twiddle their thumbs, right? And so what we have to do is go out there and recruit them. We have to onboard them into something, right? And then that's when we get our friend Faye to give them some homework, right? And that's where this person needs to connect their resources to this person. And we just get fucking creative. We're humans. We're pretty fucking creative. I'm just saying, like, and when you put us in a tight spot, we're going to come through because we're resilient. But, right now we're kind of feeling, the effects of the world falling apart.
I mean, right now I'm just like bored. Like this is like the highlight of like what I do. And that's why I can make all these clips like back to back, one after another is because like, look, if COVID is stopping me from like, going to the park or whatever, or like meeting up with all my friends, like boom, like I now want to kill it in the online game. It's like I just want to kill it, like that's all. And then I want to make like my voice loud enough, and then I'm gonna recruit other people who are bored and who want to kill it, and then we'll just have this whole team of all these people who are bored and just want to kill it until change happens.
That's a chain reaction, right? That's what we do. Gang, we stick together, and we bring all these different ideas to the table, and we're not afraid to engage with anybody. I love it.
Right now, it's just such a show to see all these Trump sycophants, not the ones who were just like melting down. Rudy Giuliani was literally melting down. Did you guys?
Yeah, he was actually physically melting in the heat. Like his prosthetic hairspray was dripping off of him.
There was a report that it wasn't hair dye.
It was malfunctioning.
And it wasn't. If it wasn't hair dye, what was it?
Yeah,
it was like, shoe polish.
People think
yeah.
Like,
is he just like I'm old school? Rudy doesn't fuck around. Shoe polish it is, right? Yeah, I don't know.
No gray for me. No gray for Juju.
Shine on the bottom, shine on the top.
Can someone please put that in the? Can someone please put that in the chat? I need to see what you guys are referring to. I missed this.
Oh yeah.
You guys
this is the policy-driven debate we came for.
I actually tweeted on what happened with Giuliani. I said, no one who perspires this much is telling the truth.
Oh, nice. Nice.
He was melting. He was sweating all over the place.
He's such a wretch.
I mean, you're right, though. That is a stress response, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, look, to be fair, it's probably just hot lights. But he does suck.
Yeah.
Nervousness.
He's being interrogated.
Yeah. Oh, what's he being interrogated too? Okay, I didn't know the context, so maybe that is a little bit more damning.
So Nick, you had messaged me a couple things in the chat. I don't recall off the top of my head what it was, but it seemed like you wanted to talk about a couple things. Do you want to bring that up now?
Sure. Yes. Yes, I remember off the top of my head just looking at the lines of the cars, for the food drive. I believe this was in DFW, the Dallas-Fort Worth. And I'm just like, look at this. This is like something you see in dystopian movies, but here it is, reality. And it's like, I see so much pain there. It's just something that doesn't have to happen. It didn't have to happen in this country. And yet there it is. So it's just infuriating for anybody. I don't care about where you stand politically. That's infuriating to see something like that.
These are Mitch McConnell's bread lines.
Exactly.
That's what it is. It's like for the life of me, I don't know how we got this redneck hillbilly son of a bitch. I'm sorry, as
No offense, name calling doesn't solve the problems. I'm just gonna put that out
man,
there.
I hear you. We all hate Mitch, but think about what Nick, what Nick just said. We have to be able to talk to the other side, and I think a superior version of that, if you can get there, is like there is no other side. They just don't. It's a misunderstanding. It's like you treat it like a marriage on the rocks, right? You know, it's like it's not really that we're enemies. There's some complex and terrible and very serious and very consequential misunderstanding, and it must be handled delicately, not where we're yelling at each other.
I just look for the entertainment value sometimes. I really don't. It's just like, but the thing is that like, okay, like, but how though? I mean, like it just boggles my mind. It's like, okay, well, I mean, you do, and you know what they get away with sometimes, like Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell, they say like, oh, well, we're not these like wealthy coastal elites, and we kind of take offense to them. You guys are loaded. What do you mean? You went to like expensive.
They're not on the coast.
You're just not on the coast. You're wealthy elites, but you're just in the middle of the country.
So one of the things I like to point out is like I really wish some of our elected officials at least tried to go into the homeless like system to stay like 1 week in a homeless shelter, right? I think they would all very quickly figure out that their money is not doing what they think it's doing, right? And then they would maybe even be offended by some of the stuff that happens to these people who are in there, right? Like, but you would be able to smell the problems, right? You would be able to hear the problems. You would literally engulf yourself in all the problems of your society in one goddamn room, okay? And then you feel the panic, you feel the fear, you feel the sadness, you feel the hatred. All of these emotions are all around you, right, in these things. And then you can hear the complaints that are said, right? When I stayed in a women's shelter this year, like, it was fucking eye-opening, right? Like, everything I thought was, like, I didn't have high hopes for it, right? But I was like, well, it's 2020 maybe, right? That was not the safe haven that is productive to like empowering anybody, right? It's almost like it's not great, right? But we can make improvements, but it's a matter of getting the right people to talk to each other, right? Okay, well, we need more funding here. We also need more, maybe lockers or something, right? But you can't figure that out unless you're on the ground level.
Agreed.
I mean, I think that needs to happen, right? I think it should be a requirement for members of Congress, and especially the Democratic and Republican leadership. You need to come down off your ivory tower. You need to actually go on the ground, and you need to see the impact and the effects of your decisions or your indecision, your inaction on the ground, and stop pretending like you understand and you don't.
Just as guilty as Republicans are when it comes to these things.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at Nancy Pelosi's ice cream fridge. I mean, what in the world was that? And then like they told her she lost seats, and she's like, "Oh well, we held on to it, so who cares?" What is this attitude?
I'm so
same attitude that.
Wait, what are you referring to? Ice cream fridges and what?
Nancy Pelosi, a ivory tower elite who just doesn't care about America. There was a comic that perfectly summed up Nancy Pelosi. There's a picture of a guy reaching out toward Nancy Pelosi, eating an ice cream bar, sitting on a gold chest. And that guy has the American people labeled on it, and he's saying, "Please help me." And Nancy goes, "And give Trump a win? Not on your life."
Literally on your life. As in
literally, that
literally
comic hit it on the head. Pelosi,
I saw that too.
Does not want to give any political ground, even though there is no value in political ground.
Wow.
I mean, this is like the epitome of why we separated from Britain. We saw the wealthy and what? And it's just happening again. It doesn't make sense.
You've come all this way, right? Just to end up right back where we were.
Makes
it's
it
come
like-
full circle. But
Full
instead,
circle.
the British
but
system,
instead,
man.
but instead of, but
America
instead of
there.
crowns and tiaras, we have like corporate titles. That's it. It's just CEO and president of the company. It's not king and queen. It's just
Right.
it. Yeah.
Well, okay. So something I've noticed as I've been finding team members to help our podcast, right? Like I've found a decent amount of people. And people are coming out of the woodworks trying to like plug in, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like you have skills I don't know how to utilize, right? And these are people who maybe want to invest in a long-term future for themselves because they see the trajectory of this, right? And like recently I've decided to just open source my life because like my personal experience really could influence a lot of people because I'm proof of concept for a lot of things. But now I'm consulting people as I learn. And so like, we're taking on roles, but we don't have these titles, right? Like what would you want to have your title be? Your skill set is not just one singular thing, right? And when you have this vision people can latch onto, though, they know where they fit, right? And if you give them the freedom to do that and not be, gatekeeped because there's not enough positions open for you, you can really go in there and like use that as practice for when you need to do your own thing, right? This is like and the opportunity to get your hand held to learn the experience you personally need for you to thrive in your own life, even if it was your own business, So I think these are things we don't even think about, but it's happening, and like this movement's growing on a large scale, and I don't even know if everybody knows this. Like it's fucking beautiful, and I'm watching it from behind the scenes because I'm definitely meddling, of course, but like it's happening. It's beautiful. I wish people could see what I'm seeing. Damn it.
Oh, they will eventually.
Yeah. I
Definitely.
think what's missing is just like the getting in the collective consciousness of the society, but definitely like just organizing all of this energy. Because I think the thing with Trump was that like the anger and the frustration is valid at the end of you okay, but you're not harnessing it in the right way. I think that was the biggest problem. I think it was,
but people don't know how to harness it, and that's the problem. We have these whistleblowers that are very terrified.
like it's a learning process. It's a learning process of how to harness it, but just anger and vindictiveness just for the sake of holding on to the anger and vindictiveness is toxic. And I think that's what we saw.
See, people are blind to this side of themselves. And if they are aware of it, they might be using a coping mechanism to deal with it, right? And so there's no transitional period, no safety net for them to transition from something they don't want to do to something they want to do because they keep having to pay their bills, and they could lose their house if they stop to help out, and it's a messed up system.
And there's no easy answer, but I think the thing is that like for the people who kind of do have, because there are a lot of people with a lot of money on their hands, but they don't know what to do with their time. And if people fall into that category and they actually want to see a better world, I think that there's a lot of stuff for them to plug into, because a lot of people with a lot of money on their hands, but they don't know what their purpose is. They get stuck in like nonsense, and it's sad, and they don't even like it. So they're like, and for people with a lot of money on their hands and their friends don't have that money to take the time off, and they always have to be at work, they get bored and lonely. So it's like, you don't have to be bored and lonely. You can actually join something where you feel like you have that sense of purpose, because there's a difference between, and I'm sure you all know this, just like feeling comfortable and feeling that you have enough, but it still hurts when you don't have that sense of purpose or meaningfulness. Even though you have comfort and even though you have abundance, people still want that self-actualization.
Well, but the thing is, people don't even know the path to that, right? They're like very like plugged into their trajectory, right? And then maybe they've never had the opportunity to meet somebody like, okay, let's just take me, for example. I just enter their life and I'm talking about running around doing all these things. I've started this project, that project, and they can't even like comprehend what I am, right? They're like, is she even telling the truth? I mean, that could be a question they ask themselves, right? Or they can underestimate me or whatever. But like, here I come in with all the facts and all these different scenarios and these proof of concepts of like what they can't even fathom to be real. Right. And so now I've just moved to their trajectory because I went out of my way to have a conversation with a stranger. Right. And these conversations that I have, like here in Texas, I've been yanging a decent amount of people. Right. Just because I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. And like, these are what we want to do. And, like I've met people that are going to come on the show now here in Texas. And I think that's really cool. And as I talk, though, I'm finding advisors, right? I need to learn how to do this. I'm not ignorant, or to the fact that I don't know what I'm fucking doing, right? But guess what? There's been many people who followed similar paths, right? I just use their template, but I use my own criteria, my own vision, right, to lead the way. And like that's benefited more than just me, right?
Yeah. I mean that's the thing. It's like a hit and miss. Look, I said this before and I'll say it again. What I love about video games is that every single time you mess up, it's like you know what not to do, so you can go about it a different way. And I think that's just what we're doing here. It's just like out of like 1,000 strategies, one of them is gonna work, and then we just get that one and we capitalize on it and we can't lose.
So something I've been noticing with my research is like the way the Yang started was like we had this like fucking brainstorm. We had all these ideas on a piece of paper, but it was all jumbled, right? And then we're like, okay, we're gonna try a first draft. Oh God, there's a lot of issues with this. This does not look pretty, right? And then we're like, okay, second draft, right? And then we're like, okay, now we just need someone else to look at this. Does this look okay, right? Oh, I have lots of changes to do. Okay, I'm gonna keep editing, right? And so we're getting so close to a final draft to present to the world, if you think about it. We are writing our story. And honestly, if you follow the hero's journey, we're towards the end, guys. We're towards the end. Like, UBI is the inevitability that's coming.
A lot of for the people who want to keep the status quo, there's a lot of like it just hurts. Like change, even though like Obama said, oh, hope and change and all this stuff, but we have to like teach some people that change isn't as painful as they think it's going to be. And I think we're seeing this because now that Trump has got used to being our president, look at how he's just flatly denying reality. Just no, reality doesn't exist.
But see, people have literally been forced into change during this pandemic, right? They've literally had to face their fear of change during this pandemic. The fear of going out, the fear of like everything, right? So we've got practice now. Now it's not as scary.
Oh no, I'm not talking about for us. I'm talking about for them. I'm talking about so we can teach them that it's not as bad as they think it is. Especially like you gotta really be in like shock at the level of brainwashing in this country when people think that being given money is going to hurt them and it's going to hurt their communities. Like the level of like bullshit we have sunken into for people to like be, oh no, I'm gonna get $1,000. Like what? Like then opt out of it if you don't want it. But like look at how like when you're like a kid and like you see like $20 like crumpled up on the street, or like you just got a whole bunch of money for your birthday, or like you feel great even though you didn't earn it. But somehow when we try to say like, hey, look, we can afford this, we can just give it to you, people are all like, oh no, like because they're so used to not having good things that it's become like they think it's a law of nature for them. And you see this all the time. Like people think that they're not worthy of success or a good relationship or a job that they like because it's like, no, that never happens to me. That
I
just
think
never.
There's one extra thing we have to consider. I don't think people understand where money comes from. I don't think they understand interest and where that comes from and how that affects the money cycle, right? Like literally money is being manifested when you sign a loan, right? And then, you better pay that interest, but that money for that loan was not actually printed. So go find it within the world. Go have fun, right? And then you got to go after the next person. That's not fun.
That's not fun at all. Yeah. So let me like Nick, I don't know about how they teach us over here, but like when you were going to school or even university, how much money education was there?
Oh, very little. I remember, I think it was either third or fourth grade where you were taught how to write out a check, where to put your name, write the amount, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, why didn't I learn this in high school? Why wasn't this incorporated in life skills? Okay, there was health and sexual education, but what about skills for everyday life? They weren't there.
Right.
And when you go to college and you go to the college fair or whatever, sign up for classes or whatever, sign up for clubs and organizations, there are the credit card companies waiting to prey on those students who have a lack of financial intelligence to get you into debt.
No,
yes, free money.
It's a business because your awareness of your life situation and your financial situation is a detriment to their business plans.
Yes.
So that's the thing. But
there's a lot of that.
Yeah. So that's the corruption. That is the underlying corruption. But I think like the thing is, but we're so used to. But you know why people aren't realizing that? Because of all the bread and circus out there. Like let's put on some Kardashians or put on some like pop, some music and like forget about all our troubles. Here, Netflix. I don't have to worry about my bank account. I got Netflix. It's like, no, like stop. It's like, don't you see they're doing this on purpose? It's a distraction.
Exactly. Weapons of mass distraction. Yep.
They're trying to make money, right? And they recognize there's the desire to be involved and watch and, be a fan of these people, right? You have the opportunity to be a fan of these people, right? But these people, I was watching some older videos, movies, and the way they're made is so wasteful and so derogatory of the people involved in it, right? Like they're blowing up cars and they're causing chaos and like literally they're destroying things on camera, right? Which is great for effects, but like if that's the whole reason we just spent so much time, energy and money on like this thing, is this really what we should be using our time and energy on? Race car driving, for example. These cars, they're expensive. There's a lot of people involved in this empire, but like it's just these corporations are putting money into these race cars that are going around the track. Everyone's having fun watching it. Look, but you're promoting. What are you promoting? You're promoting cars and oil, and you're promoting wasteful spending from these corporations that could go back to the people on entertainment. It blows my mind.
Sound offensive, but I'm just gonna drop a truth bomb over here. A lot of people, like, they're bored and their life sucks and they don't like what they're doing. So they live their lives through screens. And they see maybe like someone who they're a fan of or a movie with a lot of things blowing up or a sport. So they project themselves onto the screen and onto these things because they have nothing to look forward to or be happy about. It's pretty sad. And why is that? It's because they didn't get that learning when they were younger. They didn't get that mentorship. Maybe they didn't get that love from their parents. So they're leeching on to what they're either to the pride of their country or the pride of the football team or the pride of the NASCAR driver, because it's like, my life kind of sucks. So I'm just going to
allow me to add a little bit more nuance to that, because there's more than just society's pushes and people wanting to see themselves on a screen, we even have children's stories that help reinforce this narrative that you can't be violent or have a strong opinion even against something that is truly horrifying, like genocide. Many children's shows that put the hero or heroine in a truly awful political situation always have this flaw that you have to be nice to the villain, even if the villain has killed millions of your friends. And I understand children's shows are trying to instill in children not to be violent, but there's real politics behind this, and those children grow the fuck up.
So what I'm noticing with movies and stuff, just by observation, okay, one, we've evolved. You can tell by recent movies versus old movies, right? We're a little more culturally sensitive. Not in all of them, of course, right? But we're definitely becoming a little more sensitive about like how we're hurting other people. But the other thing that happens is it's kind of like a training program to some capacity. Think about it, like if you're watching a movie on war, you're like, oh, that's a good strategy for this war thing. And I'm really going to love using that information. Even video games, these are training. They teach you strategy. They're like, okay, this is it. But we need to evolve our TV to like, okay, well, if this is a training manual, like here's the training on how to make the planet better. Let like come to this world and strategize for this like thing, right? And because what happens is there's almost this self-fulfilling prophecy too. You can step into any reality, right? And if you resonate with one of the realities on the TV screen and their solution was blowing everybody up, I'm sorry, you just trained them that's like, especially if they're not neurotypical. Okay, we have to consider non-neurotypical people are watching these movies. They might not even know if it's real or not, right? They might think this is just like maybe they're coming from a different country and didn't know we had play pretend, right? And had all these movies. Maybe they think we're actually doing a lot of this shit, or maybe we have and we think it's play pretend, but it's reality, right? There's no way of telling. We found out fake news recently in our like lifetimes, but how much was fake, right? I'm watching TV shows like Contact, I think is what it was called, and they have CNN on the screen, right? Well, okay, but CNN is a real thing, okay, but this movie is play pretend. So now it's like conflicting, right? Is CNN real?
Yeah,
Or
I
has it
agree.
just been a movie prop this whole time and we just thought it was real, right? This is a
Right.
possibility. It's obnoxious, but well, what if? I don't know.
It's a lot of theater, right? A lot of performative theater that we see on the news now, where you can't really tell the difference between information and entertainment. So it's become infotainment.
That's what they.
And there's, and there's a lot of phrases that get repeated, so that is, that is the oldest form of wanting to manipulate someone's thoughts. You keep on repeating the same thing, and it's all the different networks saying the same thing. Did you ever see that video where it says, this is a threat to our democracy? And it's all of the news stations saying it, local and national. They all sound the same. And you want to get information, you want to know what's going on in the world, but it's going through this corporate filter,
Well,
basically.
we do know that back in the times of like ancient Rome, they just called it bread and circus, and
Hmm.
that's what we have right now. Rome's like monetary system was dying, their military was being overexpanded, so they're like,
Hmm.
we just don't want people paying attention to the stuff that sucks, so we're just going to feed them and entertain them. And
Yeah.
I mean look, like we're not animals. It's like we want something more than just being fed. And I guess like I don't know if animals kind of like get entertained too, but like I don't know, maybe that's playing like fetch with your dog. They're like entertained by that. But like humans want to go to another level than just being fed and entertained. They want to like accomplish things, have lives of like meaning and purpose and stuff like that. And we can't have this corporate Goliath just take that stuff for granted. And I think that a lot of people who are in leadership positions and in I don't know, but like have a lot of money, they're like socially and mentally not that developed themselves. Look at Trump, look at Giuliani. I mean, we have socially and mentally undeveloped people leading countries and being heads of like media empires, and it's like, well, all of their narcissism and mental illnesses and unstableness is trickling down, not the money.
Well, I also want to mention something else about reality and movies, okay? So I was wondering, about maybe mildly stoned, but I had this thought, okay? And the thought was, wow, literally these are all sets to movies, right? Like, I mean, people have filmed all over this planet, and these cities are sets somewhat, right? But if I was to make a movie, I'd want the set to look prettier than it is, right? Like, what if we just like realized we could be on the best movie possible by like upgrading our sets, if you will, leveling them up, because that's what I was doing with my truck. I was like, I want to make a documentary, but I kind of want my truck to look a lot prettier before this documentary happens, right? So I'm just like, okay, so I'm going to decorate it for the set. And then I was like, oh my God, the world is my set, and I'm like, oh God, where do I want to film? But then like, in addition to this though, is when I go on road trips, certain areas trigger recall. So if I go on a long trip and I'm listening to a book called Mastery or something, I will recall what I actually learned during that little drive, right? And I will like almost hear the words like play because it's on Audible, right? So I'm just remembering the Audible. Or sometimes I remember the thoughts. Okay, well, if we've been recording using the world as a stage, these places might actually cause recall to these movies, and we might think they're just our memories, even, unconsciously, or maybe it triggers an emotion and we don't know why, right? But like our surroundings trigger memory, and like, what if movies were triggering the wrong things, right? Like, I don't know, but the world is definitely a stage.
Yeah, well,
Oh
the thing
yeah.
is that look, like I call, some people are drama hostages. And I mean, like, a drama hostage is like they get sucked into either the drama of their small town or their family and their school, because their main source of sustenance comes from their family, their small town, or their university that they go to. UBI would enable people to get out of their hostage situation, that they don't have to be part of something that they don't want, because the money is going to follow them and the money is going to help them. When we don't have this, it limits your autonomy to be a hostage to something or someone or a situation that you don't enjoy, but it's sustaining you. And this is fundamentally not free. This is not the American dream, no matter what anyone says. That's it.
So
Yeah.
I had another thought just now. Like, some of the movies I've watched have used real clips of like mobs, right? Because they don't want to like get a bunch of people together to be this mob. But sometimes a lot of people are hired to look like a mob, right? For filming. And the problem is witnesses. If a witness watched this filming, they might think this stuff is actually happening as well, right? I remember watching this show. It had uh Daniel Radcliffe, okay? And the scene he had to shoot was like a KKK thing, right? And like anybody driving by who saw the KKK set for this movie would think this is really happening, right? Like, we play pretend around each other, but we got to be aware that people might be a bystander and interpret what you're doing as a movie to be reality. We need to be mindful about this kind of shit. Just saying.
Well, the only thing that's gonna get people to be mindful about anything is not worrying about, not struggling over how to put food on the table. I mean, how much mental bandwidth does the daily grind just take up, that people can't expand their horizons to think about things that we're talking about here? Yeah, that's the thing. And actually, I think UBI would promote work and more activity. what promotes laziness is just coming home at the end. And I saw this with my father, is coming at a long day of work and just wanting to sit in front of the couch and do nothing. But a lot of people who don't have a regular 9 to 5 job, they're the most active people because they're not drained. The thing is like sometimes a job that a person doesn't like drains them of their will to do anything else. And on the other hand, something that people do that they actually want to be there and they actually want to do, sometimes you can even end up with more energy doing a job than if you hadn't even done that job, because your job is actually giving you that happiness and that energy and that thing, and it's in the right place. That's why males that are unemployed volunteer and help out less than people who are employed, because the people who are employed, their job sustains them, and it's something to look forward to. But some of the people who are unemployed, they don't even want to get out of bed, so they're even less likely to volunteer. So we're not looking at this in the right way.
The incentives need to change, and if we can figure out how to change the incentives, we'll be good.
Think about the experience of that person, that theoretical person, right? An unemployed man who decides to go volunteer. Likely, someone at that job, at that place, who might have been even, positively inclined towards him, might learn he's unemployed and go, well, what's wrong with you, man? Go get a job. You shouldn't be here. This is, you got to get your priorities straight. He's very likely to hear some shit like that. Am I wrong?
That sounds right. I get told
So I think that speaks to one of the failings of our culture. Why do we do that?
Nick
Why?
is our guest. Let's see what he has to say. Yeah.
Anyway, what do you think?
I was thinking about how UBI would help as far as expanding the scope of what we look at as work, what we look at as a vocation, right? Like I learned in school, energy is the ability to do work, but lots of people have a preconceived notion of what that is. That means, well, what can I do to, feed this corporation, feed this machine, and keep the gears turning? What can I do that is well expected of me, so people will think highly of me and I won't be ashamed of what I'm doing? When really, you can shape what that work looks like. It's going to have value somewhere, and UBI would definitely be an incentive as far as expanding that, so people can think, people can dream, and they're like, I want to do what I want to do, and I can create value. And trust me, after I show you what I can do, you'll pay me.
yeah. Here, like me on this podcast right now, I think of like my fast food job. What I'd much rather be here. What was I doing over there? Feeding people with like cheap junk. And that put money in my pocket, and this doesn't. When this food for thought is so much more important than the food I was, serving people at fast food. And even when I worked at Best Buy, it's like I was just checking out people's, not that there's anything wrong with it, just like iPhones and like games and electronics and stuff like that. And I actually yanked a lot of customers and a lot of my fellow coworkers at that Best Buy that I worked at. But at the end of the day, this is much more important, talking about how to change humanity like this and self-actualization, than being in my blue shirt selling people electronics.
Well, also think about this, how to put it? In a lot of ways, we've been these video game characters. Let's just put it out there, and with this whole pandemic, it really, I can't help but unsee it. I can't unsee it, because like there's literal dots on the ground telling you where to stand. And if you go to this dot, you get to interact with this other character, right? Like, and ta-da,
here's the dialogue tree.
Right. So like we're literally these game characters. I mean, even just if you use these race car analogies, right? We have video games for racing, right? But like you can literally step into these realities. That's what we've created. You see this video game, you can step into this reality, right? Well, I mean, don't we want a better reality to step into? Like why don't we
I think our developers suck. Our developers are idiots. And who are those developers? Who would hire Donald Trump as a developer? Who would hire Rudy Giuliani as a developer? No one. We hire these crappy developers to develop the game for us, and we wonder why things are so bad. Andrew Yang would be a great developer. Let's hire him.
We do need game devs in office.
But I mean, we also have these. Okay, think about movies. Okay, so we literally can come up with these stories in our heads, and then we can find people in the real world to play these characters, right? And we've just like put them in their little places, and go. But like if they're like playing a role of a real story that happened, right? That means somebody else literally has to pretend what is in my mind so that they can get into character, right? You could literally influence people by wanting them to make a movie about you, because then you're going to be like, come into my brain, and then it'll affect the actors and actresses, right? The people who want to be played, if you will, right? They could just be like, oh, yes, aha. And then all their life experience goes through a filter.
Personally, I love inviting people to my mind and like philosophizing with them. It's so interesting because because I see that my point of view, this kind of like counterculture, especially counter pop culture view that I have, I want to see this view shared by more people, and I want to hang out with those people. And that's why I love this so much, because how many times out there into the world, it's really hard to do it offline, because you don't know what the venue is, or you don't know what like people are talking about. Like if I just go out there out on my neighborhood street and this guy is like gardening or using or some of those noisy guys that have their leaf blowers out, and then I'm gonna randomly talk to them about my views on pop culture and philosophy, they're like, it's gonna be weird. But here is a place where I can just freely do it,
I think that it's a good idea to be able to, interject like that. You never know. You're going to make somebody's day, probably. You change the game, and that one reaction will lead to something else. Isn't that something? It's like unlocking, right? So you're playing a video game, you want to unlock some characters, you want to unlock some power-ups in a day. This is how you can do it. You can talk about what's important to you, about the economy or about culture, and make those connections that will make an impact, that do make an impression.
There was that one time I was at the grocery store, and I did talk to these people just randomly about my YouTube channel, and they were actually interested. So it does feel nice, and I actually put it in the cell phone, and it does feel good to do it face to face too. Sometimes it feels even better because you see you see those physical movements, and you see those people, and it just feels good. Yeah.
Part of my research that I've done and like finally completed, I haven't even talked about it to anybody either. So it's kind of okay. So if it's rough, I'm sorry, guys. I've only talked to my editor about it. So essentially, like, how I said we step into these games, right? Nobody's made the game that we're playing right now. We're playing a fucked up game that's all confusing. We don't have any like in a video game, you have a menu screen, you have all these like things, you can keep track of your stats and all this, like, here's the money. We don't have anything like that right now.
All we have is like degrees from universities, which are like the most boring stats, or like a high school, like the diploma that like no one even actually asks us about or wants to know about. But go ahead.
Okay, so but like for the gamer profile like information, that's our social media platforms. That's our baseline, right? Like, what are we sharing with the world, right? And here's my stats, and these are this. Okay, so then we have these skill trees. We got hobbies and skills, right? We can level them up. We do know they exist in our lives, but we've never taken the time to really sit down and put them on paper. Not all of us, maybe some of us, but but where do you want to level up in this world, right? So also we have a wardrobe, right? Just like in video games. What's your fashion? What's your accessories? What's the purpose of these? You know, in a video game, there's a reason you have armor and there's a reason you have, I don't know, a swimsuit. I don't know. But like there are reasons you have these things. Reference books, okay? So like or spell book, depending on which game you're playing, right? You know, it's like all this information, but you might have like some summaries in your own collection of information, right? And so you have like, you know, a quote from this thing, you have a whole like document from this other thing, and you just collect all this information. It's really just putting your brain into like physical form, right? Let's see. The romance bar, okay? So like you know, I found like the 5 love languages, right? We all speak the 5 love languages, which is physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, and gifts. Okay. So we all speak these, right? But we don't learn how to like see them in other people. We don't speak other people's languages. But also, that's where we like also would learn consent, right? We don't have language for boundaries. We don't have all these things. Like, so we almost need like, you know, if I was in a video game, there would be things I could select, right? Like, I want to say this now.
And I just thought of something, and we also like in a strategy guide. There's like a thing. Okay, you go here and you go there and you go there. Sometimes the worst part of the video game isn't the fights, and it's not the work you have to put in it. It's just like, okay, I'm confused. Where do I go? It's like when you get lost. And a lot of people are lost, and people are confusing the people that are lost and saying that these lost people are lazy. They're not lazy, they're lost. And a lot of people who are in this place where they're applying for work and not getting an answer or not seeing anyone, or they didn't have the kind of help that showed them how to transition from like a learning to working, they're not lazy, they're lost. And every year they're losing money, but the thing is like they don't know. It's not that they don't want to work, it's just that they don't know how to put their skills to use, and they don't know how to put their talents to use, and no one is helping them. And then you got assholes calling these people lazy.
I agree. That's definitely an issue, right?
100%.
I'm just going to continue my list. There's a few more. So the health bar, that's our body ailments, right? That's our hunger bar. Do you got to go pee? You know, think of Sims, right? Even Sims has these things. Our brain's doing that already. We just don't acknowledge it, right? Like, you know, if your stomach's hurting, you have an ailment, right? Maybe you should take some medicine. Or, you know, in a game, you'd be like, maybe I shouldn't do that again, right? Like, no, we don't do that. Save points. Okay, so we have real life save points. That's our safe space, right? Maybe that's someone's car. Maybe that's someone's house. Maybe that's somebody's, I don't know, meditation garden. But there's a safe space where you could just like not hear anybody else's voice but your own. And you're not afraid of your stuff being stolen, you know? So chests. Okay, we all have chests for storage, right? So, you know, do you have a wardrobe storage? Do you have a weapon storage? What kind of storages do you have? You know, that might be a literal storage unit, okay?
Like a zinger storage of like your favorite one-liners.
Or that.
A word bank, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So the other thing we have is sponsors, right? Think about it. Like, you know, even someone who tries to live minimally off of money still has sponsors because you can't live in this world off of zero, right? So sometimes that sponsor comes in the form of like doing a gig for another friend, or maybe they add your Patreon or they send you money through PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, whatever. But your fans, you have fans. They want to support you. They want to see you thrive. And, you know, maybe, you know, we talk about these businesses. Technically, they're a fan of yours until you don't make money, right? So there's a little issue with that. But that's why I call them sponsors, right? So even like famous people, you know, they don't get all that money just because they're famous. They have fans. Anyway, okay, so also we have friends, right? Fellow players. You guys are my fellow players. I'm in a video game, right? Like, but we're all on the same planet. So, we're all fellow players. So this family, okay. We have family. We got an origin story. All of us have an origin story, right? Let's see. We have the crew, the peers, the people with the same vision as you, right? We're on a vision quest to go save the world or whatever it be, right? We want UBI. That is our vision. That is what this team is doing, right? Also, we have factions, networks of like-minded individuals, okay? The Yang Gang, right? We're a faction, if you will, you know? We're all like, it's a bigger network, but it's not the planet, right? But we also have a global server. Other nations, they have different factions. They have all these other
all
things.
the UBI people we've invited from like Canada and New Zealand and England and Kenya.
Yeah.
You know,
they are
Yeah.
part of the global server, right? The other thing we have is missions, right? So we have tests, we have allies, we have enemies, all of us. You know, do you have someone trying to cancel you? You know, do you have tests? Do you know how to challenge or like overcome like, I don't know, bills? So, um, let's see. Then we should all technically have kind of a quest master or a mentor, if you will. Okay, quest master sounds funner. But we all like a mentor is a good person that helps you direct your vision, right? Someone who teaches you is going to hold your hands through some of the things that are scary, right? We also like puzzles. Puzzles are everywhere around us. Like investigate the problem, right? Do I like the smell of that sludge over there? Where did this sludge come from? Why is it here? Could I solve this problem? Could I find the source of the sludge and quit? Like, can I help end pollution? These are puzzles. We like things like this though, because we're monkey brains, right? And lastly is achievements, actionable solutions that are complete, right? You feel good and you know when you've had an achievement, like I did a good job, right? So, I mean, this is my research I've been working on, and like I was so excited that I got it done, but now I have to organize all my notes. But like
Well,
seriously,
I noticed, Faye, you're not in your truck anymore, and look at like all of the enlightening things that you're saying. And I think that's the reason why like you this base level of stability has given you the kind of like thing that you need to come up with all this stuff, and that's wonderful. And it's like, how much are we stealing from the world from not having UBI when people can be giving these amazing contributions when they don't have a base level of stability? Just imagine if Einstein never left the patent office, we might not be in space if people who thought about all of these things were stuck in poverty. We would have no space travel. So we are stealing from humanity by not having a base level that everyone can stand at, because they won't be able to contribute in the ways that they want to contribute to humanity. And that is a travesty. It's disgusting.
So if you can't play, it's not only cheating yourself, but you're cheating everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because look, like corporations decide who gets to play the video game and who doesn't get to play the video game. And
who
when
becomes an NPC?
Right, they decide who becomes an
Yeah.
NPC. Exactly. And people don't want to be NPCs, but they're forced in that situation because they don't want to be like a mindless cog in some stupid, corporate whatever. And that's not okay. That's like you can't say who, you can't decide who gets to survive and who doesn't through, oh, you're not willing to like toe this stupid line that in and of itself is a theoretical construct that we created, that only people who perform deserve, base level needs. That is a societal decision. That is not something that is like true within reality. This is a construct. This is not like a fact. It's a social construct that this poverty. It is not a fact of life.
I was just thinking about that, like with arcade games, back to video games again. It's like trying to play, but you just see it blinking, insert coins. Like, you don't have what you need to even get started
Yeah.
to play. Yeah.
Perfect analogy.
I remember doing that as a kid.
until your parents came and said, here are the $5. And let's
Yes.
say that's why, look, think about it like this. The kid that had like $20 in coins, who lost like 20 times but eventually beat the game, but the kid who only had $1 in coins but made it further with that dollar, but didn't make it to the end, but made it further, but that kid just had, $20 worth of coins that they could lose over and over and over again, but they could just keep putting in the coins. That's not a meritocracy. Donald Trump had an infinite amount of coins to spend on this game, and he kept messing up on every single game because of all those bankruptcies. But his dad said, here, kid, here's another $20 spent on the game. Here's $100 spent on the game. Here's the thing. And we call this bullshit a meritocracy.
You know what you're making
No
me
way.
like. I was like, what am I if I'm in this analogy that you're using, right? Because I'm playing the game with like people handing me the coins to put in there. They're like, keep going, put the coin in, right? And like they're funding me because they're a fan of how far I'm getting, right? They're like, here's more coins, because they're like excited to see further in the story, right? Like they just want to see you win.
Right? Yeah. That's true. It's like you know that meme when the dad comes in and he's like, "Are you winning, son?" And then maybe the son says, "No, I'm kind of messing up." The dad's like, "Here's more coins, son. Keep winning." It's like, yeah. But the funny thing is that we don't realize, we think there's a limited amount of coins, but there's not, because we like the coins are a social construct in and of themselves. Like yeah.
But your analogy, okay, what is UBI in this analogy then? Is it just free play?
Oh, it's the government being the dad.
Well, yeah. The UBI is like, we'll make sure that you never run out of coins, because maybe you really suck at this.
You wouldn't run out of. You could theoretically run out of
You
coins.
could-
But
you
still
could
got to
run
go
out of
get
coins.
more if you want to keep playing. But you still get the opportunity to play.
You get a certain number of coins every month, but we always make sure your coins are going to be replenished.
So
That's
it's an
it.
allowance.
So
It's just an allowance.
It's an allowance. But the thing is like, let's say there's a game that comes out that you really suck at, and you spent all your coins on that game. Now there's another game that came out, and you only have 2 coins left, but you're doing really, really good at this game. It wasn't like the last game that you sucked at. But you spent all your coins on that game before, and you don't have any more coins to actually play the game that you're actually going to be good with. So it's like, hey, let's give people a chance. People deserve a second chance. But we just don't cut people off. And
so people talking about a cashless society, like they're almost talking about, this is no longer an arcade game. You don't have to feed the machine coins. You could just keep playing for, continually, right? Like,
the kids would do that on their birthday parties. They would rent out the whole arcade, and like I remember you'd never have to put coins in. I remember going to a couple of like bar mitzvahs or something like that.
Free game, free play,
right,
free play.
This is not an experience I had, but I believe you.
Well, actually, but there are also days where like it's Memorial Day or it's something day where you can ride the buses for free. They don't charge you a fare or something like that. Where New Year's, I think on New Year's the buses were free or something like that. But the thing is that like no, we deserve to, people deserve to have this time where they just feel good, just to thing like thing, and to know that like you're never gonna get like a game over where you can't choose to continue. Like game over, that's it, you're done, and like you're never in this game again. And like that's what's happening to people when they hit a certain level of like debt or poverty, where it's just inhumane in and of itself, I think.
These are so interesting. This is a very interesting conversation today, by the way. Thank you guys, because it's actually like stretching my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Like these metaphors are very powerful in a lot of ways too, because it helps you fill in the blanks, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, but see, video games are not only arcade games. They're like, we got these corporations that are like, look, put money into these machines, but really you could buy the game and play it at home.
Funny
Right?
thing is, let me just say, like the not having a UBI, it gets people more addicted to video games, because the thing is, like with a video game, you only need to buy it once, and that's it. It never runs out. After you bought the game, you keep it forever. But everything else is kind of like perishable, and you keep needing money to spend on, like, food, and or like a vacation you don't get to keep. You keep the memories, but you don't get to keep it. But like it also expands your horizons and the people you meet, and it makes you more worldly, but it's an expense. So the thing is, like, people are going to spend more money on like cheap, addictive, kind of like low consciousness things, whereas a UBI would give us citizens that are like can afford to like travel, or at least like buy a car so they can like go and see other things. But without this stable amount of money, people are going to be too scared to kind of like if their heads just above water, they're not going to want to do courageous things, because it's like, I may lose everything. So if we had this level of stability, people would say like, yeah, I'm going to spend my money maybe like going on this road trip with my friends, but I know the time I get back, I'm going to have enough money to spend on rent. Whereas if they said, I may do this road trip and I may not have enough money to spend on rent, I'm just going to keep playing video games. Screw
So,
it.
okay, now when I'm hearing these things, what I'm thinking of is like, our government and our banks and all these things are like, why aren't you coming to the arcade game room? And we're like, because I'm dying over here. I literally can't even get over there. And
Yeah.
I can't, and I would rather put food in my belly with these coins and not just spend them on entertainment, because this body is dying. This one matters
This
a
is
little more.
look what you just said, Faye. That's literally what happened to me at Best Buy. I would get harassed. I was expected to have customers spend $1,000 per hour. And we're talking about that was my quota. And every single time a customer didn't spend money, and who knows if they're also just trying to keep their heads above water, I would be berated by management. And here's a job that I'm trying to do. Now I just said, like, if everybody came in this store with $1,000 extra a month, and they spent that money, and I could add that to my record of the money that I had that spend, it would put less stress on the people that are working. And the reason I didn't have a job anymore was because people weren't spending money. So you want to talk about destroying jobs and not creating jobs? Don't give people money to spend, and people aren't going to have jobs. And I don't know why these dumbasses, some of them in our Congress, don't understand this fundamental fact.
Well, I think we just need to be able to paint pictures like this that they can resonate with. Like, most people speak games, and if they don't speak games, they speak movies, right? And if they don't speak movies, damn, right? Like gardening, okay? If they don't
Right.
speak gardening, god damn, like, okay, I don't know your
Yeah.
metaphor, right? But if you learn these metaphors, right, you can paint pictures, because some of us are very logical.
Here's the thing with gardening. Okay, let's just say that trees were conscious, or trees had feelings. Just imagine how stupid you would have to be to tell let's say, like, what kind of plants are there that create. Let's say you had like a citrus tree, and you told the citrus tree, look, you make the fruits first, and then I'll water you. That's what they're telling us. They're telling us to make the fruits first before they water us. They're morons.
You
I'm
know,
just gonna leave it at that.
that reminds me of something I said the other day. Like, I am a seed. I'm a tree, but I'm a seed, right? And you're criticizing me for not making fruit yet. It's impossible for me to make the fruit yet. Please be patient with me. And people are like, but the fruit, I need the fruit.
Right.
I can't.
Yeah, idiots. it's like, okay, like telling these, like toddlers, no, I'm not going to teach you how to walk until I get paid. Or like, stupid, it's like you have to provide the training first for the person to do the job, not. And this is what corporations want now. They want to not provide training, and just like people will just know. I know this because I was asking a question about a product on my walkie-talkie, and they told me to Google it. It's like, what the hell are you here for then? It's like, it's
To tell you to
crazy.
Google it.
Right, yeah. It's just like it's like, look, you provide the things, you make the initial investments in people first, and then they can provide the returns. MLMs are the opposite. They want you to make an investment in them and to have a job. It's crazy. It's
Well,
insane.
there's a learning curve to everything, right? I mean, if you think about when you start a new job, they don't expect you to know everything within the first 2 weeks,
Some
if
of
you're
them
still
do.
struggling, if you're still struggling, they might be like, we're gonna let you go, right? Like, bye-bye, you're not worth the
Right.
energy.
Yeah, they
Um,
just don't.
and then it's like you get shamed for asking questions when you
Could
haven't
you
finished the
you
learning curve.
imagine that from, like, if parents were that stupid? Oh, this kid isn't learning how to, like, it isn't breastfeeding well. Well, we're gonna have to let him go. Like, we just can't, like, we just can't, like, oh, what was it say on this kid's resume? Oh, he didn't learn how to walk quick enough. We're gonna have to let him go. We're gonna have to. This is disgusting. But we're like doing this to people, and it's like, hey, there's a process, there's time involved, there's instructions involved, there's conflict management involved. But like, you get some of these corporate morons who are just like, oh, we just want efficiency. Okay, it doesn't work like that, you
But
dumbasses.
see, I would also like to challenge.
Yeah.
I would like to challenge one thing. I think the people that are, corporate morons are actually just people who didn't learn something. Okay, to grade their mental, like, maybe they are special needs and nobody has told them. Okay,
Maybe.
maybe they're a kid who is special needs, who wants to hold on to their toy. No, mine. Like, and never learned how to share.
Get your hands off that.
But like, we have people who are like, this cherry tree is all mine now, all the fruit is mine. Oh, like, yes, but the squirrels don't care if that's your tree, the birds don't care if that's your tree, nobody in nature cares that that's your tree. They need to eat, and they don't give two shits about you.
We have to stop the communists. Trump 2020. They can't touch my tree. Yeah.
And some of us would rather chop down the tree just to prove a point at this.
That's mine.
Well, I can make money off of a chair.
No more. It's like they've just become parodies.
So
of
Trump
them.
trees, huh?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like, buddy, we're not your enemy. We're just trying to tell you how reality works, man. It's just like, and look, this is coming from me, who I kind of supported Trump in 2015, okay? And I saw both sides. And I remember, like, going somewhere and I said, like, you know what? Maybe everyone who voted for Trump wasn't a racist, and they were hurting economically, and they wanted to see something change. And I got a whole bunch of liberals coming in and saying, like, no, they're only racist. You can't trust them. We can't be pandering to them. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm seeing that there are extraneous things just as much on the liberal side as they are on the Republican side. And I saw Yang kind of say, like, hey, like, I know why you people who voted for Trump are pissed off, and you weren't happy with Obama, and he was just saying things and he wasn't following through. And that's what got me into the fold. So I think extremism on both the left and the right is really killing this country.
I think so too. And that's why he emphasized not left, not right, forward. And he's talking about those extremes. Don't go extreme right. Don't go extreme left. There's a way that we can go together as a country, and we can begin to heal We can start solving the problems that got Trump elected. And these are deep-seated problems that go back decades that precede Trump. So this country has been sick in more ways than one. It's like a systemic sickness with the winner-take-all economy, right? And stock market prices and GDP and everything. But you have opioid addiction up, mental health problems up, unemployment up, loss of manufacturing jobs and what have you. That has a cumulative effect that would lead to someone like Donald Trump. He saw the system was broken. He was like, okay, great. Now's my time. I'm going to break it some more.
If we don't fix this by the end of Biden's first term, someone worse than Trump can come along and take. Listen, we are lucky that Trump was such a buffoon, because if a real malignant person with bad intentions who was also extremely intelligent came in, that'd be the end of this country, you guys. I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah, Trump would be out, but Trumpism still exists, and it's gotten in the Congress. So that's something that we need to understand. That, and I heard this on one of the news networks. I think it was CNN. It's like the aberration of Donald Trump. Really, an aberration? You need to look at what led to him in the first place, and then it makes perfect sense.
And at the founding of the country, Thomas Paine wanted a citizen's dividend. It's like he could foresee all of this. And we're just saying, and people are thinking this is a new idea. It's as old as this country. It was at the founding of this country, but we have gotten so off this neoliberal deep end that we just can't see it anymore. And we're trying to pull people off from that cliff of just like this hyper, individualistic kind of like thing where it's like, oh, everything is pull yourself up by your bootstraps, even though there are people who were born with like gigantic boots, and people who are born with no footwear at all, who don't even have bootstraps to pull themselves up by.
Yeah. And I feel that that's what led to the extremism that came from the right, and it's even coming from the left too. You won't have so much extremism if you can help heal the economic problems, because when you start looking at the other side as your enemy, oh, they're taking money from me, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, you forget the fact that they're Americans too, and you look at them as your enemy, like your mortal enemy. Like this election and the kind of rhetoric that has been used on both sides is like, it's not just any election. They're saying like this is the battle between good and evil. It's that extreme in some people's minds, and I don't like the direction that that's going in. That's something that needs to be addressed. And now, right now, yesterday should have been addressed, but this emergency.
Yeah.
Well, something also I wanted to bring up that I recently thought, like, we could see ourselves like these little critters, okay? Let's just put ourselves at the I'm broke thing, okay? Our trees are cut down, whatever. I don't know, okay? But really, like, I'm just going to use this metaphor. I am an otter caught in an oil spill. And I don't know what the fuck happened, right? I don't know what this oil is. I just know my family and friends are dying, right? They're all caught up in this oil. And I'm a little worried, and I don't want this to happen again, right? I'm like, hey, could we figure something out here? I guess I need to learn about the oil first. What is this? And then I got to figure out why it's here, right? And then I have to figure out the source. And then I have to figure out alternatives as well to this oil, right? What is clean energy that's not going to hurt my friends and family, And these big businesses are the ones that are like, oil is good. Don't you want oil? No, I want to eat. I want to have fun. I want to swim around and, hold hands while I sleep, because I'm a little otter, right? And we don't, these big businesses, these organizations, our government, these corporations, they're not part of our world, right? But they are part of our world, right? We all coexist, and we need to figure out how to do that.
The thing is that like they don't deal with the consequences of their own actions. They don't live next to the gas spewing factory that's giving everybody cancer. If they did, like they create the policies that affect all of our lives, but then when they go home, they cordon themselves off from all of those things. It was a funny analogy somebody used Smash Bros, where they said basically you there are those characters that can like throw projectiles at you, and they have a long range of the projectiles that they can throw, so it's very hard for you to get to them because they can hit you with things at a distance, whereas you have to be right in front of them to like hit them, and that is not fair because we don't have that long range that like what we say or what we do can affect hundreds of other people, whereas they can say and do things that affect people and then go home into their gated communities or their big mansions and not have to deal with the effects or the consequences of what they do, and that is not okay. Yeah.
And I
Because if it,
feel, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Good.
Oh,
I just feel. I'm
if
sorry.
it was okay, then we'd say, okay, then you go live next to that toxic oil spill that you created and see how you like it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, like factories like DuPont, like do you see the movie Dark Waters and Mark Ruffalo is really good as it talks about the chemical spills, right? Or improper disposal and what that did to people in rural communities, to people with farms and their animals, that they need in order to live, to make a living, cows dying and all that sort of thing. I mean, Teflon and what PFOAS and was it PFAS, these different chemicals. There's one that's like found in everybody basically because of Teflon, and that's DuPont right there. And the reason why I bring that up is I learned recently that someone that was a higher up in DuPont is being considered for the EPA as far as advisory is concerned with Joe Biden. So you know what I mean? Again, the problems, the cronyism goes forward. It doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat. This is a real problem that we have here. That's just one example,
Yeah, I think just like the whole Democrat and Republican idea should be gotten rid of altogether. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just so idiotic and divisive. Is like, look, I just want to see a functioning government, and I even want to see a functioning corporate sector with just that's not a dick to the rest of the world and to people. I don't care if you have a corporation and the corporation's making a lot of money. Have at it. Just don't ruin other people's lives in the process.
Well, it kind of goes back to that whole like otter analogy I'm using, right? Like,
Right.
I'm the otter. I don't care that you have a business, but don't kill me in the process. And, figure out the precautionary things you need to do. Like, can we figure out how to kill the least amount of me, right? Because I matter to me and my friends matter to me. And we help this planet survive and thrive. Like, without me, there are issues, right?
And right, we don't want to be collateral damage. That's the thing here. It's like you can't, and it's like why aren't the and this is we are owed this UBI because of because we're dealing with their externalities. Like when you go out and you just pollute, but it's just gonna ruin somebody's day, but like it's very hard to trace it back to that person and get that person. Now they're doing that at a massive scale, so they owe us for compensating us for the stuff that they're messing up and they're ruining.
What's funny is they're like, who's gonna pay for it?
You.
We don't care who pays for it. We need this to happen, right? Like,
right.
We don't fucking care who pays for it.
No, but hang on a second.
You're still causing problems.
I spoke with Tim Ryan about reverse socialism. Basically, what we have is that in 2008, when we bailed out all those companies who were too big to fail, we pay for that with our tax money. So what the hell are you saying? Socialism is okay for you? Getting the money is okay for you, but not for the rest of us that you screwed over? I'm sorry. But I don't see how that worked. That's not even fair. That's not even like just. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. It's and Mike Breuer talked about it too. He talked about the self-licking ice cream cone. Basically, it's just like this circle jerk of like governments give money to corporations so corporations can give money back to governments, and they're just like, this, and then they leave you out of the loop, and that is not justice, and that is not fair, and
Well, I
it's
mean,
just a matter.
if we are the animals in this circle jerk scenario, right? Like we're still watching it, we're still feeling the effects of it. We're still concerned because you're cutting down our forests, right? And making chairs. And then, wondering why we're at your doorstep because we literally don't have a home anymore, and you're not going to help us at all either, right? You're not planting new trees. You're not providing something to like fill that void now in our lives, right?
Well,
like you've
yeah.
ruined our ecosystem.
Well, I mean, the gross thing is like we talk in school about how like bullying is wrong. Just because you're like physically stronger than a person or taller than a person doesn't mean you can just shove them into the ground and take all their stuff and like leave them. But somehow, like, we have laws against like physical harassment and sexual harassment. Some of the sexual harassment ones not even that strong, but we don't have any laws against like financial harassment. Like what's a lie? What's false advertising? Like with the financial stuff, we just have the law of the jungle. If you have more money to like get at a person or do something, it's fine. Just go at it. Don't care about how many people you're ripping off or bullshitting or telling lies to. You have the money, just go ahead. So it's like we have the law of the financial jungle, and that's not okay. It's like the financial gorilla can like kill the financial, I don't know, chimpanzee or something like that because he's stronger. Like the big corporation can just destroy that small business because they just had more money. So it's like we can't have a jungle in this space and not have it regulated.
There's a lot, but also we need people to find what's toxic. We need researchers, we need investigation, we need like actual people to have the time to go in and investigate, right? I was passing through a neighborhood in Austin, Texas, and there was a lot of these like little they're like those air succulent things, right? But they were literally choking the tree, and you could see the depth of it. Now I know it's fall, right? But there you can tell instinctually what's too much on a tree, right? And you can see which ones that only have like one or two versus some that have hundreds on it. Something's wrong there, right? And so we don't even have people going through and making sure these trees are healthy. Some of those spores could literally be causing us problems, right? There might be specific kinds of plants that we don't have experts coming through and being like, this should not be around humans, right? We don't even have any toxicity report of any form that we, the people, feel comfortable about. We technically should, but I mean, if you ignore the effects we've had on Earth, you're gonna cause some problems. That's all I'm saying.
And another thing is when you bring that up, Faye, it makes me think of the low institutional trust, right? Like let's just say, for instance, you see something like that, something that could be invasive, something that could be harmful to an entire habitat. Can I just call the EPA and tell them, is there a hotline that I can call that so this can be addressed and get the right people out here to figure it out? Or do I have to be like, well, what if I tell them something and they're like, they ignore you, or the worst thing that they could do is be like, hey, you really shouldn't say things like that, and it's something to cover up, which government agencies have been known to do because they just want to function, but they don't want to do what they're supposed to do, which is service to the people. I feel like that's something that's really needed as a reminder. You're supposed to serve us.
Right.
Air quality in general, we need to be very concerned about, because I'm very sensitive, right? And like I will feel my body, it feels toxic, right? And I have to wear a mask not because of sickness, but because of the air I'm breathing. That is concerning, right? This is not something I necessarily want to worry about, but I'm thinking I need to worry about, right? And I, as a traveler, don't know who to contact.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we're seeing a
Yeah.
lot of like this I think I like to call it like this is basically just corporate entitlement. That they think and like Trump thinks he's in. You want to talk about like an entitled attitude of like things just belong to you when they don't? Like Trump's refusing to concede the election. Like and it's not just him. It's just like this bigger thing of like okay, here. I can sum it up in one phrase. Screw the rules, I have money. That's it.
Mm. Yeah. He said something like that about the emoluments clause in the Constitution. He says, "Oh, it doesn't matter when you're rich." And I'm like, "So you're saying a part of the Constitution doesn't apply to you, and it's irrelevant?" That's
Right.
when I knew that he had reached a new height of hubris. And then
Right,
when you get to
exactly.
that point, you're gonna fall. Something's gonna crumble, and
They
then
just
not too
think that
long after
they're
that, all this happened.
right. Exactly. They just think that they're
Yeah.
untouchable. Doesn't matter how
Yeah.
much money you have, the rules apply to you. Another reason why we broke off from England. The king didn't care about the rules. He said like he was you know, the lawmakers, when the lawmakers are the lawbreakers, you have to really see just like the fundamental flaw in that. Just it's fundamentally screwed up where these people tell us to live in a certain way that doesn't apply to them. Heck, okay, you want me to be fair? Let's be fair. Gavin Newsom, the governor of this state, who's a liberal, went and had a big party for his birthday with like $300, plates of like stuff with all these like lobbyists and lawbreakers and something like that. A liberal, and screw him too. Okay, there, I said it.
Mhm. The rules are for thee and not me. So it's
Right.
kind of that's what we're
That's a
looking at.
dictatorship.
That is a dictatorship.
What's the difference between that and a monarchy and a dictatorship and all of that stuff?
Yeah.
This is not a democracy anymore. I'm sorry. This
No,
has gone
it's
out of
not.
control.
But
Especially if
see,
there's coup
we
attempt.
need whistleblowers, and I don't know how to make it safe for whistleblowers to exist. I don't know how to give them a voice or any footing anywhere. And I want to do that because I've met a few that really could help with this problem, you know. But I, as an individual who has no money and access to like special like knowledge, right? Because people put a dollar sign in front of it. I'm like, well, I guess I can't go through that door of knowledge, right? Like,
Well,
teach
here,
me.
well, this is the thing though. Look, like you got Nick, you got those Josh, and that other guy. It's just gonna be a process, Faye. I mean, we're building this thing from the ground up, and I think now more than ever, more people are starting to scratch their heads and seeing that, our friend Tim Ryan said, if this doesn't show you that this system is fucked, then I don't know what is. In addition to all these other things, so it's just give it time. That's it. I mean, the more stuff like this comes out, and now that we have Josh helping us with the SEO, that's all we need. All we need is more eyeballs and people listening, and we'll just get there. That's it.
That's what my hope is. I noticed we're getting
Yeah.
close on time, by the way, just heads up. But go ahead, Nick. What were you saying?
What I wanted to say was, that example with Gavin Newsom, and then months ago, Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done when there's lockdowns going on, right? I want to see someone call them out on that's from their party, not from another party, and say, oh, that's a gotcha moment, and that's why this country is the way it is. There's so much finger pointing, but I want to see the finger pointed at themselves. I want to see that. I want to see
But how do you want
accountability.
how do you want to see that come about? Like a new Democrat comes into the DNC and calls them out, or DNC leadership actually recognizes what they're fucking doing?
Good question, right?
Both. I'd
Yeah.
say both.
Both. I would say both.
I'd say I just say, look, what's wrong is wrong. That's fundamental. It doesn't matter if there's an R next to your name or a D next to your name. If you're a thief, you're a thief. If you're a murderer, you're a murderer. a D next to your name and an R next to your name isn't going to absolve you of those things. Done. Case closed.
So I think the thing is, literally anybody in America could be arrested at this point, right? It just depends what soil you're standing on, really, right? Certain laws apply to certain areas, okay? So the problem is, if we've all sinned and could go to jail, okay, like people are playing by different rules, and that's a big concern. But like we shouldn't have to like do so much punishment for all these things. If we realize we're all doing it, right? The whole God thing, like he died for our sins. Let's just pull that one in there, right? He's like, everybody's broken the law. Can we just like let it go and try again instead of
I agree. Okay, so here's the question. Just where do we go from here to make things better? I mean, that's basically the fundamental thing that Germany told themselves after the Holocaust. And you don't want to punish the children of like former Nazis for what their parents did, because that wasn't their decision. That was a different time. So I think the important thing is like we can say like, yeah, like both sides of the aisle have people in it or have done things that are really bad and that shouldn't have happened. But dwelling and ruminating on those things isn't going to help us. Where do we go from here to just fix it? I think that's the best thing.
Well, I think we should all meditate on that and say our goodbyes. Like wrap up. If you guys are cool with that, right?
Yeah.
Like
This has been great.
think on it. So
Definitely.
Ariel,
thanks for having me.
Well, actually, let's start
For
with
sure.
Nick. Nick, why don't you give your information, anybody you want to reach out to you, where, blah, blah, blah. Self-promote.
Okay. Sure. Well, I'm on Twitter. That's at Nick of Time 925. So you can find me there. Feel free to follow. Little over 1,800 followers. So I dedicated my feed to the Yang Gang last year. So growing that audience, and I tweet my things. There's a lot of retweeting, and I include political stuff, sometimes non-political stuff. But feel free to follow me there. I'm also on Facebook. I accept friend requests. I really appreciate being on.
And that was at Nick of Time 69, right?
925.
925, sorry.
Nick of Time 69.
925, it's okay.
I've had it since
69
middle
would have
school,
been
baby. Woo!
No, Justin.
Sincerely, thank you for coming on. As you know, any of our guests are extended the privilege of coming and seeing anyone else who comes on. So if you see the schedule, which is posted in our Discord server schedule channel every Thursday, and you see someone you'd like to talk to, please come back, and you'll be welcomed onto the Roundtable again. Just come back anytime. It's a pleasure to get to know you, and let's win UBI together. Let's stay connected so we can be better collaborators.
This is the most fun I've had with a guest, I think.
Ever. Yeah? Wow. We done
Let's
135 episodes. So. High praise. By the numbers. By the math, that's high
Congrats.
praise.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but if you're the most fun, that's high praise, because congrats to you, my friend. See? Ariel dubbed you the most fun, so. Stiff competition, man. I don't know. We had the real Be Serious on. He was pretty fun. Not that you're not. You're also fun, Nick. I'm saying anyway.
Oh, of course. I know. No problem.
Anyway,
well,
I like to go out with a backhanded compliment always, so nobody ever comes back. No, it's just thank you for coming on. Anyway, I interrupted the whole sequence. Who would like to say goodbye next? I'll give it back to you, Faye. Sorry for interrupting her.
All right, I'll do it. My name's Ariel, so you can find me at Twitter on @ArielsAriels. I do some drone stuff on there. It's pretty cool. And also, I have a YouTube page, Revolutionary Thinking. Come and check it out. That's youtube.com/Revolutionary Thinking.
Moto, are you here, or are you just the fly on the wall?
I am lurking.
Oh my. You are blowing my mind. I was sure you were idle. All right. Well, good to have you.
And I guess credit
Go
my
for it.
own self. I'm Sheridan Lund. You can find me on Twitter at JSaberGamer, and I'm actually changed my name to Sheridan Lund on that now. So it should all make sense. You can also find me on YouTube at The Odd Party, doing gaming and storytelling there with my wonderful girlfriend on Tuesdays and Fridays. And on Patreon, you can find us also at The Odd Party, Patreon/The Odd Party.
Have you changed your Steam name, or is it still Sexy Furry Sparkle?
If you do want to find me on Steam, that's it. But I don't think anyone's connecting in politics over Steam.
You never know. You never know. Anyway.
I'll go next, and then I'll pass it to Shale to
Thank
close
you.
out, I guess.
That sounds good.
Okay, so my name's Faye Doney. I am like trying to find different leaders across the U.S. and trying to connect them to each other so we can make systematic change. And I'm also making a documentary. If you have seen anybody do amazing things you think the rest of the world should know, please message me. My username on Twitter is Tisdoney, TISDONEY. I'm looking for sponsors, and by that I mean Patreon subscribers. So that's Patreon.com /Faydoney, FAYEDONEY. I didn't really have rewards for you guys though, so you literally are just like helping me. But anyway, off to Shale.
I mean, you are the reward, right? That's the. I mean, my own Patreon, my music group's Patreon. We recently went like post artificial scarcity. We stopped giving rewards, and we're just like, look, it's just anybody who comes to the thing can enjoy the stuff, and if they have the money, they can fund it or not. I don't care. I don't think the people who are paying because they want to download the special things we put out for our patrons. Some of them do, and they appreciate it and they like it and they enjoy it, and we do it for them. But most for patrons, like I think they like to know that the rewards are there. Maybe they do or maybe they don't, but they do check out like our big annual like album releases that come out on Spotify. They just check them out on Spotify like everybody else, So that's my experience with Patreon, and I think we kind of, just to tie it back to basic income and sort of Yangism, artificial scarcity is kind of a myth we all have to get past individually, and then it will happen collectively. Change starts with you, so that's what to do. Anyway, my name is Shale, and my Twitter is SHAELRILEY. Thank you for checking out our show. We'll be back later today with a social stream from 7 to 10 Eastern on either YouTube or YouTube and Twitch. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, we'll be playing games and just chatting and hanging out. And thank you again for everybody. We'll see you again soon.
I gotta bounce, guys. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.